Guten Abend, live im Weinkreis. Heute Abend am Dienstag wie immer ohne Kilian, der ist in Österreich. Aber dafür mit einem ganz, ganz speziellen Gast, Ivan Massonnat von der Domaine Belargus. Da sind wir nachher an der Loire im Anjou und der Wein des Abends ist der Anjou Noir. So ein kleines Wortspiel, weil Rebsorte ist Chenin blanc, blanc und noir. Aber da wird uns der Ivan nachher noch ganz viel darüber erzählen. Der Kilian ist auch da. Kilian, wie war denn der Test heute, deine Prüfung? Erzähl mal oder schreib mal. Ja, und ihr seht, ich habe natürlich wieder mal unser schönes Michel Tolmer Shirt an, Sweatshirt. Es gibt noch welche, kann man bei uns kaufen auf unserer Website, in unserem Shop. Das ist eine Edition, mit der helfen wir den frostgeschädigten Winzern in Frankreich, nämlich der Verkauf von diesen Shirts, da gehen sämtliche Gewinne an die Organisation Vendange Solidaire, die französische Winzer, vor allen Dingen junge Betriebe unterstützen, die eben Probleme mit den Witterungsbedingungen hatten, also unter anderem auch Hagel, aber jetzt insbesondere Frost und so weiter. Und der Kilian sagt, es ist gut gelaufen. Super. So, ja, jetzt können wir eigentlich schon anfangen. Ja, also Chenin Blanc, ihr habt sicherlich schon gemerkt, das ist schon eins unserer Lieblingskinder natürlich, ne? Und die Loire ist sowieso, und das ist heute auch wirklich ein ganz, ganz besonderes Weingut, Belargus. Da könnt ihr euch auf viele schöne Geschichten auch freuen. Aber jetzt haben wir erstmal hier den Chenin Blanc, und zwar ist das jetzt ein Wein, ist aus verschiedenen Lagen, Jahrgang 2019, natürlich wirklich ein Spitzenwein, die Roxana kriegt auch was. Ja, also im Prinzip das Konzept des Weinguts Belargus ist 100% Chenin Blanc und 100% absolute Spitzenlagen. Das ist dann natürlich alles immer im Prinzip sehr hochpreisig, und deswegen gibt's jetzt eben ab diesem Jahrgang auch diese Cuvée aus verschiedenen Lagen zusammengestellt, und die ist dann etwas günstiger. Ja, einige wissen sicherlich, die Domäne ist entstanden nach dem Verkauf von Piton Paillet über den Jo Piton. Das ist ja wirklich eine Legende an der Loire, werden wir nachher sicherlich auch noch ausführlich sprechen. So, jetzt probieren wir erstmal. Sehr typisch diese Farbe, relativ dunkles Gelb, so ein bisschen Strohgelb. Und jetzt mein Wein ist jetzt nicht so ganz klar, logisch, der ist ungefiltert. Ich habe einen sehr schönen kräftigen Duft. Ihr seht, ich habe ein großes Glas, Bordeaux-Glas von Schott-Zwiesel. Der Wein braucht wirklich Zeit, um sich zu öffnen. Aber vor allem, was mich natürlich hauptsächlich interessiert, ist hier die Struktur. Ne? Ist kräftig am Gaumen, so ein klein bisschen Holz, haben viel Biss, eine schöne Länge und so ein schöner geschmeidiger Nachhall. Ja? Und dann natürlich klar, so die Aromen, sehr typisch, ne? Ist ziemlich floral, reife Quitte und so weiter, und diese tolle Mineralität, und man hat immer so ein bisschen was Geröstetes, Getoastetes, ja. So, und jetzt will ich euch und auch den Ivan nicht länger auf die Folter spannen. Jetzt holen wir den gleich mal ran. Ivan Massonnat, der ist der Besitzer. Er ist der Besitzer, hat die Domaine gekauft vor ein paar Jahren und sitzt jetzt in seinem Haus in der Touraine und schaut schon zu. Salut, Yvon. Hi, Yvon.
Salut.
Good evening.
Guten Abend. Guten Abend.
Guten Abend, Yvon. So, sprechen wir Deutsch? Sprechen wir heute Deutsch, Yvonne? We don't speak the German, do we?
Ein bisschen. Nur
Ein bisschen. Ah, okay. So, yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Have you recovered from the frosts?
Myself, yes.
Yes.
The vines, a little bit as well. A little bit as well.
The wines a little bit as well, but yes,
yeah.
okay, yes. Do you see new shoots growing or?
Yeah. So basically, yesterday I was in the vineyard with the team, and we were at first very much afraid of having lost 80% of the harvest.
Yes.
And when you look at the new shoots, we hope, so crossing fingers, to do maybe half an harvest or something like this.
Okay.
Because it's actually quite good. On the flip side, nature is pretty slow this year. So typically, we would need a little bit more sun and a little bit more warmth for the buds to really push. But it's not as bad as what we thought a month ago, basically.
Oh, good news! Good news. Have you seen our shirts that we made together with Michel Tonnerre?
Yeah.
And we're selling them in favor of the French wine producers who are suffering from frost, and all the benefits will go to Vendange Solidaire. And we already sold over 250 shirts, and wine tasting sets. And all this money is going to especially young producers, young domains to help them to surmount these problems. So that's good. And and they're selling all over the world. We send some to Canada, to Japan, many to France, and to many other countries.
Great initiative, really.
Thank you. So, everybody who's watching, we are sending everywhere. So to France, everywhere. It's a nice shirt, and we have T-shirts as well. You find them at in our web shop, www.weinkreis.de. So far this, and now we're talking about the wine that I already enjoy a lot, Anjou Noir.
So can I serve myself then?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I was waiting for you, but I see you didn't wait for me.
I'm sorry. I know this is not very polite, but I couldn't wait. It was impossible. Cheers, Yvon.
Cheers. Santé.
Santé, everyone. Such a nice wine. It was a great vintage 2019, wasn't it?
Well, to make a connection with what we were saying, it was a frost year.
Okay.
2019 in France, in February, everybody was wearing T-shirts.
Yes.
And the vines were also wearing T-shirts in February. So it was a very early year. And on the 5th of April, the nights of the 4th and the 5th, one night, one frost, 80% of the harvest gone. And that was very unfortunate. On Domaine Belargus, a lot of our plots are very precoce.
Sorry, somebody's asking which wine is it? It's Anjou Noir. Okay, we are talking about the wine later. Yeah, sorry.
So the vintage 2019 was it was my first true winemaker experience, because as some of the people following us may know, my first vintage was 2018, so it was a new life for me, and 2018 was an easy vintage, so to speak, with good quantity, good quality.
Yes.
But in 2019, as I said, one night in April, 80% of the harvest gone with the frost, because nature was so advanced, and because many of our plots are, as you know, very well exposed, very precoce, so early plots.
Yes.
They were more advanced than the rest, and on average, we were one of the most hit in the area. So in 2019, I became, I think, a true winemaker with a real frost experience, my first one. So we fought very, very hard throughout the year to protect whatever we had managed to protect. And I'm very, very pleased because at the end of this, in September 2019, we managed to harvest enough grape to produce each of our single plot separately.
Yes.
So sometimes with very little quantities, like 1 or 2 barrels per plot, but at least every plot was done. And frankly, it's an amazing vintage.
Yeah.
So Anjou Noir is the only cuvée that we have bottled yet. It was bottled after 15 months of aging.
Yes.
And all the other cuvées, frankly, the wine is so intense, so great, I mean, in search of a better word, that we want to give it even more aging time than we normally do. Normally, it's between 1 and 3 years on Domaine Belargus. And I wouldn't be surprised if on 2019 we push further than that. Yeah. And we've already made a decision, which is that we will release many of the parcellaires in 2020 will be released before the 2019. Because 2020 is the opposite. It's a very balanced vintage. It was easy to come to, it became good very, very early. So it's still aging, obviously, but we think we can release it much earlier than the 2019.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's interesting. So, well, there's so much to tell, so much to ask. So I really have to think over to keep everything in order. But maybe let's talk about the Anjou Noir before. And I think, this bottle will be empty very soon. Usually we say, okay, this broadcast is ending as soon as the bottle is empty, but I think this bottle will be empty much more, long before we are ready to talk. We're talking. So, why is it called Anjou Noir?
That's a good question. So yes, that is the first question. So Anjou, I would hope that most people tonight know about Anjou, which is this French region on the Loire River. But why Anjou Noir? It's because within Anjou, which is essentially today one big department in France, there are 2 parts. And quite nicely, I would say, one part is geologically very different from the others. All the way until Saumur, which is one of the 2 big cities in Anjou, you have limestone, therefore the white stone, and therefore we call it Anjou blanc. That geological base is part of Bassin Parisien. So there's a big geological plaque until Saumur, which is made of this limestone, which is about 65 million years old, and it's white. It's the white tuffeau, which is so common in the Loire Valley. But if you go west to the other big city in Anjou, which is Angers, you just go west by 50 kilometers, but then the stone turns dark. And everything around you will be with dark stones. And that's why it's called Anjou Noir, so black Anjou. And here the geology is very, very different. Instead of 65 million year limestone, you have 600 million years schists. So this is the schist part of the Loire. It goes all the way to Brittany, to the west. And it's the primary era because, as you know, the Massif Armoricain is I would say, the oldest testament to a very big chain, which was on Earth 600-700 million years ago when there was only one big continent. And that was part of a big, giant mountain chain. Today, that chain is hugely eroded. That chain, which is the Hercynian Massif, can be found in the US. It's the Appalachians. Can be found in North Africa. It's Atlas. And in the middle somewhere, you have, very, very low testament to this huge mountain, which is the Massif Armoricain, and therefore where we are on the schists of Anjou. So when we thought of this cuvée, which is a blend of 4 plots, and those plots are on different subsoils, and in our region, we very often say it's a geological chaos because from one plot to the next, it may be very different subsoil. And we said, why not blending a few plots, 4 in total, and let's create this cuvée, which we will call Anjou Noir, which will be, as we think about it, an introduction to Domaine Belargus. So somebody who doesn't know about schist, somebody who knows about Chenin but not schist, could be tempted to discover what it tastes like, and this is our attempt to make it taste like we think Chenin and schist should taste.
Yeah, yeah. But you have also volcanic soil in a very special
Yes.
lieu-dit, and yeah.
Yes, absolutely. When I say geological chaos, it means that from one plot to the next, it can be pudding stones, so those big conglomerates that were formed 300, let's say 50 years ago. And on the other side of the same plot, you can find some magmatic rock, so volcanic eruption beneath the sea at the time, but clearly with much different rocks, very much older, 420 million years, and much tougher. And obviously, when you can, with a single plot approach, when you can express Chenin on different subsoil, it starts to become very, very interesting.
Yeah, so we already have some questions. The first was about the white stuff on on the cork. What is it? Because it was crackling, and so I think we better ask Franck about this.
Well, it was not made by design, and you know the whole story. So to put the long story short, we sort of crafted our own bottle. We liked, we found very old Anjou bottles, and we
now it's interrupted. Maybe you still hear Ivan, but we don't hear him anymore. I think he has problems with his connection. And so, but in the meantime, I tell you how to open this bottle. Also ich sage euch einfach mal, wie man am besten diese Korken aufmacht. Ja, der Ivan ist weg. Vielleicht Stromausfall oder sonst irgendwas. Also es ist eigentlich ganz einfach. Ihr steckt einfach den Korkenzieher rein, dreht einfach den Korkenzieher rein und zieht den Korken raus. Und fertig, das, was dann wegbröselt, macht er natürlich vorher dann weg, während er aufzieht. So, Ivan, we missed, I think, about half of what you said. I heard something about your specially crafted bottle. Jetzt ist er wieder, Ivan. We apparently you have not a very good connection. So I go on, I talk on, and we come back to this to this later. So really opening this bottle is really very easy. Don't bother about the things crumbling. Just pull the cork and everything will be fine. Yes, maybe I tell you a little bit how about the Domaine Belargus, because yes, Franck is. So who's Icarus? Icarus Alidaciao? I don't know who is this. Is maybe Franck? Franck had to make all this. Poor Franck, and actually. Actually, Ivan thought, and I said, yes, it's a good idea to make it in 2 colors. So you should have seen Franck's face. He was really frightened. So, okay, Ivan is back. Can you hear me, Ivan?
Yes, sorry about that.
Yes. It's fine. I was just talking. So we stopped by the specially crafted bottle. Yeah. But I already...
Yes, and basically, well, I was just saying, you explained, okay.
Yes,
good.
yes, yeah. I explained how to open this bottle, but I think that's fine. So, next question by Charlotte.
Yes.
So where is it? Yes, Domaine Belargus is specializing exclusively on Chenin blanc. What do you learn about a grape when it's the only one you're working with on different soils and terroir?
Yes, that's the domain is 24 hectares and there's 100% Chenin.
Yes. And so what's the experience with Chenin on different soils, in different terroirs, in different microclimates?
Well, it's Chenin to me in the white grapes. Chenin is a little bit like what Pinot Noir is for the red grapes, which is a translator of terroir. So Chenin in itself has no taste. It doesn't have an aromatic flavor. It is it's just very often I say it's an instrument. Each plot is then meant to be interpreted with that instrument. That's why it's so important to be farming, organically or biodynamically. But the idea is to have living soils so that the vine can really, through the root system, go and get all the mineral elements and translate it into the bottle. And then when you think of a region like Anjou, where you have this geological chaos, the subsoil are very different, but also the shape of the plot is very different. Some plots are steep, some plots are flat, some plots are north facing, some plots are south facing. So being able to express those differences, again, using Chenin as the only instrument, so there's no debate, it's the same grape. The vines on the estate are about the same age, let's say 30, 40 years old, it's an average. And the only difference each year is the terroir. And what is fascinating, and that's really what fascinated me when I started my journey as a wine lover, when I was in my early 20s and when I fell in love with Burgundy wines, it's because I was fascinated by the little subtleties and the complexity that the same grape variety can express. And obviously when I had this dream of one day building my own estate, and I had chosen the Loire for many reasons, it was obvious that it would be in the Loire. And then the question was, will it be red grape or white grapes? And I went for the whites because I think Chenin is an extraordinary grape. We are fortunate to have such a grape variety in the Loire because it's as you know, it's got natural acidity, which provides very nice balance to all sorts of wines, from bubbles to dry to sweet. It provides aging potential, which is very important in my mind because I like wines that can age. And therefore, I set my sights on the greatest Chenin terroirs I could find. And it took me many years to find the right, I would say, location. And the end of the journey was just the meeting with Joe Piton. You've known Joe for much longer than I have, because I met with Joe. Cheers.
Cheers. There's Roxana, on the side.
Hi, Roxana. Santé.
Santé.
And basically, I met with Joe for the first time in my life in February 2018. And it was, a winemaker friend in the area that told me, you should go and see Joe because he's going to sell his estate. But because I had been looking for years and because I think the project was ready in my mind, it only took that meeting. And frankly, we met on Salon des Vins de Loire on the Monday evening.
Yes.
The Tuesday morning, he brought me at the bottom of his jewel, the Coteau des Treilles.
Yes.
And that was it for me. I was like, okay, I'm not going to look any further. It's impossible to find any better terroir. So
Yes. Yes, this is a divine vineyard. It's a real Grand Cru. So again, interruption. And yes, so using the time until Ivan reconnects, I can already tell you that actually, as you might have experienced now, that Ivan is not a professional wine grower. Maybe he's going to tell us what he is doing for earning money. But he's a very serious wine lover, and has lots of experience, tasting experience, and everything. And of course, he loves Burgundy. Has a very nice collection of Burgundy wines. So I'm talking about you, Yvon. Apparently, your line is not very good, is it? Yeah, no, it's no problem. So I know many pieces of the story, so I just continued, and I think we're at the point. Yes, to talk about you. I said you're not a professional wine grower. You're doing something else for earning money. So what is it? I don't know if you want to talk about this.
It's not the important part of the story, but my job was is in private equity. So I live in Paris, still most of the time. But I wanted to set up this dream of mine during my sort of work life. I didn't want to wait to be retired, so to speak, and therefore I'm doing this on my spare time, like tonight and in weekends and taking holidays. But very much wanted to build something on my own, and also something which could express, I would say, some of the best terroirs in the Loire, because I think the Loire is an overlooked region. Very often, Loire wines are considered as easygoing aperitif wines, etc. And as we know, and as I'm sure everybody knows on this call, the Loire can also produce some exceptional wines in white and in red. And that was the logic. I saw one of the questions being asked about Joe. What did Joe teach me in a way? What did I learn from Joe? Because he's still very much involved. He's retired, obviously, but he lives in the same village, and we see Joe very often. And he's very much involved in the project. I think what he brings to us is first the wisdom of 40 vintages. So he knows the region by heart. That's where he was born, and he knows, I think, pretty much every rock in the area. So when I built the estate, because what we need to make clear is that Joe's vineyard was pretty small. It was 9 hectares. Domaine Belargus is 24. So what we did, Joe and myself, in 2018 is actually assemble, and it's probably we don't have enough time to explain how we managed to do this, because it happened in 6 months. In 2018, wow. There was kind of an alignment of stars, but basically we built a collection, so to speak, of great terroirs in the Anjou region. So Joe's estate was around the Layon, let's say the Layon Valley. And out of this estate, we expressed 2 single plots, which are Coteau des Treilles and Bonne Blanche. Of course, some of the plots are in Anjou Noir, but as a single plot, these are the 2 single plots. Mm-hmm. Then in April, May, I would say, 2018, I was able to acquire what is today half of the vineyard of the estate, which is on the Quart de Chaume appellation.
Yes, the Grand Cru of Anjou.
Exactly, the Grand Cru of the Loire, the only appellation in the whole Loire Valley which has the Grand Cru status.
Yes, and you have a third of the Grand Cru, do you?
A quarter, to be
precise.
A quarter,
okay.
A quarter, but it's 10 hectares in one piece, and it contains the three plots that were the original lieux-dits in the original decree of the appellation. So really, it's the heart of Quart de Chaume, and it's, I'm not going into the details, but it was for sale for many, many years, and it's just that it took, I think, a little bit of a crazy vision. which was to do dry wines on this terroir of sweet wines. And Joe was the very first one back in 2008 to do one dry cuvée on Quart de Chaume, and that gave me the idea. So to answer the question, this is the kind of ideas that Joe gave me. It's where to look for the best terroirs and how to express them. So on Quart de Chaume, we now make 4 cuvées. One blend cuvée, which is called Ronceret, which is, I would say, our blockbuster cuvée, if I may call it so. And then 3 single plots, which are those 3 individual lieux-dits, which are different from a subsoil perspective. So it's very interesting. And last but not least, in the summer of 2018, I was able to acquire 2 plots on Savenière, the Savenière appellation. And here again, Joe was able to explain to me the differences within the Savenière appellation. In itself, it's a tiny appellation. It's 150 hectares. But on this appellation, you have very, very different subsoils and very different areas. One of them is called Gaudret, and I would say is typical of the Savenière appellation, so pretty sandy soil and flat, I would say, vineyard. And the other one is a very small Clos, Clos des Ruchères, which is a steep hillside planted with the vine planted on the rock directly, with hardly no soil. And that's, so to build that, it took a bit of luck, let's be clear, because to align all these stars in 6 months, you know, I think if I had wanted to do it,
it's incredible.
I would never have been able to do it, okay? But because I did not anticipate it, the opportunities came, and that's what allowed us to build this this pretty exceptional estate. When you think of Anjou and the kind of terroirs you would like to express with Chenin, you would hope to have things like Les Treilles, you know, very steep Layon facing and south facing plots. You would dream of having some Quart de Chaume, of course, it's the Grand Cru of the Loire. And of course, you would want some Savenière with different types of Savenière and hopefully a Savenière on the rocks. So basically, all this was a little bit of luck, a lot of work, but that's what happened in 2018. I assembled the team. We should talk about the team because I talked about Joe.
Yes, absolutely. This is really incredible. The team is wow, it's incredible.
Yeah, because Joe is I very often say we have 3 generations on the estate. So Joe is the wise man, he's retired. I am I would say the generation in charge, but the team I've put in place is the younger generation, and they are in their 20s, or let's say the late 20s. On average, I think they are 28 years old. There are 10 people on the team, and I can rely on their energy, on their skills as well, because I was able to assemble a team with all passionate people about wine, but also experts. You know, Adrien, our winemaker. Yes. Adrien is very young. He's the youngest of all, but he's a very talented winemaker in my view. I was lucky enough to be able to have in a team a vineyard manager, Amaury, who you know as well.
Yes.
Which was previously the vineyard one manager at Roque d'Anglade, which is a very I think exceptional estate in the south of France.
Yes.
So we were able to build a team. Again, it happened in 2018, which is very motivated. I think it's a bit of a unique project that we're building. So I think everybody's motivated by that. And we try to, those 3 generations, really work hand in hand. So there is no decision that I impose on anybody. We always take decisions after having discuss together, and sometimes the old man is right, sometimes it's the young guys, and sometimes it's me. Yes. I hope. And it's a blend. Yes. But we end up, in the end, we make decisions together, and I think that's our strength. Is we make decisions together, benefiting from this blend of skills and I would say horizons.
Yes, and I think the team is impressive, and most of them, they have impressive CVs. Adrien, the places he worked at, it's really like the who is who of wine. It's really it's incredible. And it's really fantastic that he's chosen Belargus to work at, you know. But so now it's my turn to give you some compliments. It's not, you can't say that what I'm saying now, but I must say it. So
This
well,
is
first
when
of all,
I disconnect.
No. You have to listen to that, but I think you know that because I'm really happy that that you took Piton Paillet. So maybe we are talking about Domaine Piton and Piton Paillet, which it was before, because I think this is one of the most happy successions I ever seen. So that's really, I'm so happy with that. And especially because I'm Joe's friend and I know him for a long time. So, and I see his work, his lifetime achievement continued and even brought to a higher level. That's so good because I still can taste Joe's wines in every single cuvée, but with much more finesse, with they're more precise. They have maybe a little bit a younger flavor, but they have still this handwriting and these fantastic terroirs. I mean, it's not for nothing. He's a legend. So I'm very happy that you make the things exactly how you make them. So that's really cool. And because the history of Jean Piton and Piton Paillet was not always this happy.
Yeah.
So we had 2 failed successions in the family that gave very hard time to Jean and Isabelle Piton. And also before they had some hardship because he always made outstanding wines, but it was not always easy to sell them. And so
Joe is an artist. So he told me very quickly, I'm giving you all the shitty part of the job, and I'm going to focus on the nice part, the tasting.
Yes.
And actually it works because
Yes.
it's clearly not his, managing is not his strength, has never been, but feeling the terroir, feeling
Incredible.
the wine,
Yes.
etc. I mean,
he's a fantastic taster. He's one of the best wine tasters I've ever met. It's really incredible. His tasting capacities, even of wines he never tasted. He can analyze them and everything. That's really fantastic. And so I know that the question is going to pop up because everybody wants to know every time where and when I met these people. So we met at the second Perspektive Wein. That was very easy in 2018, I think.
Yes.
And Joe, I met Joe in 1994. I think, in 1994. Yes, it was at Vinexpo when we were at a wine bistro in Saint-Émilion, l'Envers du Décor, which is a mythic place, and we were there with a very crazy and very nice Swiss sommelier, Philippe Verdier, I think, who died very young, unfortunately. And we were just about to finish the evening, I don't know, at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. We had to go back to Bordeaux and so on. So, and he was talking to us about this crazy wine producers in the Loire, Jean Piton, and he was talking about him and everything. Okay, so we got ready to pay. We paid, and suddenly he says, "Well, that's the guy I've been talking about." So Joe enters the wine bar, and that's where we met. And I think we left the wine bar at 6 o'clock in the morning to taste at Vinexpo at 9 o'clock. And that was it. So that was a good beginning.
That's a good story. I can quite imagine that.
Yeah. And he's quite a character for everybody who does not know Joe. So I was, and it was actually him who brought me to the Loire.
Oh, really?
So yes. And the following year was the first Salon de Vin de Loire I attended, and I was really impressed. And then I met everybody, and you know, the Foucaults and everybody, and it was like just a new world opening to me. It was like,
But
wow.
yeah, they were the pioneers, you know, Jo,
Yes,
Marc-Angeli, Richard Leroy.
yes. Everybody,
Yeah,
everybody was there.
yeah, they were the pioneers because they were the first ones to really think and aim high and demonstrate through the bottle
Mm.
that Anjou, and the Loire in general, but let's say Anjou was capable of delivering, producing great wines. And as
Yes.
such, the only thing we are doing is taking over from this generation, and pushing the message a bit more broad, because today the Loire and Anjou typically is only known by a tiny group of people. The overall market continues to see the Loire, as I said, as a sort of affordable everyday wine region. And when you look back into history, there's fantastic terroirs that have been identified for a very long time. And Anjou, of all places, is one of the oldest wine regions in France. We talked about Quart de Chaume. Quart de Chaume, so the appellation itself, it's 1,000 years of history. The Ronceret Abbey used to own the vines in the 11th century. The local lord was producing the wine and was paying as the rent a quarter of the harvest. So that medieval way of paying a quarter of the harvest to the owners was spread throughout France. So you have plots that are called l'écart everywhere in France. So why is it that l'écart de Chaume, in that area, on the Chaume hillside, why is it that it went through history, centuries after centuries, and became a standalone appellation in the 20th century? That is fascinating. And when you look at the Anjou Noir, so this region which we have around us, you find tiny Chenin appellation. The rest of the Loire is mega appellation, you know, Vouvray, Montlouis, Chinon. There are thousands of hectares each. But when you look at Anjou, Savenière, as I said, is 150 hectares. Nearby Savenière, or on the village, you have the Roche-aux-Moines appellation, 22 hectares. You even have a monopole appellation, which is Coulet de Serran. Quart de Chaume is 40 hectares. Chaume Premier Cru is 80 hectares. So you see, this is probably the only place in the Loire where you have this micro definition of climates, you know, to use a Burgundy word. And this was given to us through centuries. And it's just now for us to rediscover and re-embrace, keeping in mind that the Anjou province was a very important French province before the revolution, and therefore had the prestige, and the wines had the prestige of such a province.
Yes, but I can assure you that the Loire in general now is really one of the favorite regions of the sommeliers. Now everybody is discovering the Loire as well, the reds, and I remember it was over so many years, it was so hard to sell Loire wines. It was really incredible. If I remember, you know, we went to like parties with Les Poyeux, just to make people taste.
There's a question.
Yes, Charlotte. I don't know if it's a question for me or for you. You once said that Chenin will be as important as Riesling one day. Why do you think so?
Riesling one day.
Well, maybe it's for me or for you.
I think it's for you, because I think Chenin is better than Chenin.
So,
Riesling.
yes. So
it's for you, I think.
Basically, well, why am I in love with Chenin, and especially Chenin from the Loire?
I think it's for you.
Yeah. I think, well, actually, the grape Chenin is extremely versatile. That's like it's just like the Riesling, you know. You can make bone dry wines, you can make excellent sparklings, you can make off dry wines, you can make sweet wines, you can make all styles of white wines, and you have the freshness, and you have this this clarity, this transparency that shows you exactly the terroir where the grapes have been grown when the wine is made in a natural way, of course. And so I think that's why Chenin Blanc is maybe, for me, Riesling and Chenin Blanc. These are the best the best white grapes, followed by Chardonnay, and in the right places. Well, yeah, every grape can be dull in the wrong place. Riesling a little bit less, maybe Chenin a little bit less, but Chardonnay in the wrong place can be horrible, but in the right place it can be just whoa. And that's well,
it's, and if I may add, it's the right place, but it's also the right way, because I make a parallel. I make lots of parallels between Chenin and Pinot Noir, in that they hate mediocrity.
yes.
If you take Chenin and make it underripe, it's awful. It's like lemon juice, no terroir. It's awful, and it's very commonly found because of the yield. And if you take overripe Chenin, it's almost worse. It's almost hard to drink. It's hard to finish the glass because it can be heavy, etc.
Yes, yeah, lots of alcohol.
But if you find this sort of this on the edge, then it's magic. And the holy grail for us is to be on that edge. It's very hard, frankly. It's easier said than done. But when you have this, you have the vibration of the Chenin at the right maturity, expressing its terroir. It's amazing. Same thing with Pinot Noir in my experience. Pinot Noir can be awful or very average, but when it's on the edge of maturity, just
yes, it's unsurpassed. Wow. Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
me,
Ivan,
there's a vibration between the grape variety and the terroir. And when you get it right, it vibrates.
Yes, it sings, we say in the high fidelity. Yeah. So just to come back a little bit to the history. So you're continuing the Piton Paillé line. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure.
The Piton Paillé range.
I kept the Piton Paillé range. I put it in a different company. Joe used to blend the Domaine wines and the Négoce wines. I prefer to keep the two separate. But the Piton Paillé range lives with Joe, through Joe. So we've enriched it a little bit on the Gololo side with the white and the rosé here. We haven't so far changed the labels. We haven't really touched much, except introducing the white and the rosé on Gololo. And over the years, I would say with the team, we will probably make it evolve, because I like the idea that you need wines for every occasion. Belargus is very much gastronomy wine. You know, it's not wine for aperitif. It's gastronomy wines for long-term aging, etc. And sometimes you want a red wine. Sometimes you want a glue wine. Sometimes you want bubble, etc. And that's what the Piton Paillé range is about. It's about providing wines that are, sort of good value for money, authentic. Indeed.
You see, we have so much to talk and no more wine.
Is it you or Roxana? I don't know.
Well, it's mostly me, but I try. I try to be fair. So Roxana is arriving, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. But there's really one thing I'm missing. Okay. And that's the rhymes. Well, I mean, I mean, Python, that is really, you have perfect rhymes. Quand c'est bon, c'est Python. Chez Python, tout est bon. So what is Belargus? What is the Belargus rhyme?
Belargus, c'est plus, bof.
Wow, that was a good one. Wow.
Belargus, j'en veux un peu plus.
Wow. Wow, very strong. Strong point. Cheers on that. Belargus c'est plus. Voilà.
Exactly.
You invented that right now, or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm not sure it's a good idea though.
It's nice, I think.
We should probably say what Belargus means because let me show you.
Yeah.
So I've got the map. Okay, so this is the map of Anjou Noir, and here, this is our dear Belargus. So here,
Yes.
it's a big version, but in reality, it's a small butterfly. It's that big. It's blue. It's beautiful. It is currently to be found. I took a picture, so I will post it on Instagram tomorrow. I took a picture of a nice Belargus today.
Yes.
It's a beautiful picture. I chose the name because for two reasons. One is Jo used to produce on Coteaux des Treilles sometimes a sweet wine, and he used to call it the Belargus des Treilles.
Yes.
And I asked him, so what does Belargus mean? And he said, oh, it's the name of a small blue butterfly, and we can find it on the Treilles. And when I saw the butterfly and realized that it was only to be found on Coteaux des Treilles and was in a way a symbol for the fragility of nature, the beauty of nature. There's nothing more beautiful than a butterfly, in my view. I said, okay, let's call it Domaine Belargus. It's the perfect name. It sounds well, I think. Yeah. There's a good question from Thomas.
Yes.
When will you drop PE and just sell your wine for a living? As soon as possible is the answer. Undefined yet, because I managed, thanks to my wife's and my family's support, I managed to do the two simultaneously. So working on weekends and evenings, etc. But obviously, that's my goal is to devote myself fully to this, of course, at some point. Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. And Oliver Krauter says every sip is getting better now, but now it's gone. And I think yes, we have to say we're talking about 14% alcohol, and you don't taste them. There's lots of freshness, and it just goes down, and one bottle is not enough. But it's really, I think it's worthwhile to decant. Or of course, to drink it out of a huge glass. That's what you do as well. So, yes, I think we have. Thomas. Yes, Thomas is one of our regulars. Yeah, so that's why we work with Ivan, because of his passion and soul, and that's why I'm so happy for that. And I'm also happy because these wines are so fantastic, and I think that Belargus will be one of the great names in the Loire Valley in a very short time. But not only name, but it stands to prove already the wines. But I'm not surprised by that. But this will be one of the icons. And
let's work. We will work.
Yeah, let's work.
Year
Okay.
after year.
Yes. So I think we have to talk about Le Coteau des Treilles, because this was Yes, one of Joe's masterpieces, and one of his fantastic ideas, because as you said, he knows every rock, and he watched every single day in his life. He watched this nice slope, which is in front of his other vineyards, Les Monts Blanches, for example, yeah. And but there were no wines. Can you talk us a bit about Coteaux des Treilles?
It's an amazing story. It's the intuition of a true genius in my mind. So basically, this, just again looking at the map, just so people understand, the Layon River flows from east to west like this, and basically there's a whole side overlooking the Layon River which is south facing. That's where Coteaux des Treilles is. But these slopes on that side, although they are south facing and therefore perfect for producing wines, they are very steep. And when I say steep, I mean this is not the Loire like this. This is the Loire with 70% steepness. So basically, those hillsides here on the Layon River, until the Second World War, they were covered with wines. So vineyards everywhere. And Joe found one old postcard showing on one side of the Layon River the Bonne Blanche area where he had some vineyards, and on the other side what was described as a great terroir. And basically he said, well, but what if, and when he was looking, as you said, Bent, when he was looking at this slope, he only saw a forest, because those hillsides had been abandoned, so there were trees everywhere and there was nothing to be found. And he said, what if we were to buy, a small plot here and there and plant a little bit of Chenin? And it started as a crazy journey with his wife, Isabel, and they approached very discreetly. They looked for the list of owners.
I remember that, yes.
It took them 3 or 4 years to identify all the owners, and they called the first one, and then the second one, and the third one. All of them were willing to sell at nothing, 1 franc per square meter, so it's nothing. Yeah. And basically, when they looked at the cadastre, so when they looked at the name of the plot, it was called Les Treilles. On this plot, which is a large plot, and they got rid of the vegetation, some trees, etc., and they replanted Chenin. It was in 2000, the year 2000 was when they planted first. And this is, call it intuition, but this is an exceptional terroir almost by any measure. It's exceptional because it has never known any chemistry. So there's been never any chemicals on the area because it was abandoned too early. It's part of a natural reserve, and the reason why it's classified as a natural reserve is since the 19th century, the botanists witnessed some Mediterranean species on that hillside, and they wanted to know why, and they understood that it was because of the microclimate. And over the 20th century, several botanists basically started to list the species, etc. They've numbered 2,200 different species on that plot, which is amazing. Wow. So the place, when you see the place, it vibrates because you see all sorts of wild birds, butterflies, obviously plants, flowers, etc. It's magic. And importantly, it's a very steep south-facing hillside. So basically, it's exceptional for wine because you've got hardly any soil. So you are almost immediately on the rock. And the rock itself is very, very diverse. So you have magmatic rocks on the top. You have schist in most places. You have what I described earlier, the pudding stones at the bottom of Les Treilles. And you also have small bits of limestone, but not the white limestone we talked about at the beginning in Saumur. It's older limestone. It's Devonian limestone for the experts around. 400 million years, so dark limestone. And the complexity of the rocks on Les Treilles is captured by the wine. And the wine
Yes.
is not only very intense from a flavor perspective, not only very full-bodied and very impressive in the mouth, but what really makes Les Treilles, in my mind, is once you've sipped the wine and get in the mouth that long, long, long finish. And
Yes.
it's like you take a couple of rocks, you put it in your mouth, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And that wine, although it's a powerful wine, of course, it has a lot of elegance. It is never overbearing. It's never too heavy. It's always, there's a feminine side to Les Treilles, which is pretty amazing. And that intuition of the terroir, I think Joe had it. He's worked 20 years of his life to make it real. And I just took over from him, and we'll try to make it more known. Because one of the things, that happened in that February morning in 2018 when Joe brought me at the bottom of Les Treilles. I was really struck, as if by lightning. I was like, wow, this is an amazing terroir. I've never seen anything like this. But then I said, but how come somebody like me, who spends his entire life looking for wine, collecting wine, drinking wine, reading about wine, traveling about wine, why on earth didn't I know about Les Treilles? And I said, okay, if I don't know about it, nobody knows about it. So I will make it, and I said I will make it my fight, my battle, my goal, whatever you want to call it, and I will pursue that basically that dream that Joe had, and I will make it known, better known to the world. And I hope in 20 years from now, Les Treilles is a lot more identified in the wine world as an exceptional terroir in France.
I'm sure, because this is a real Grand Cru. And I mean, if I remember, we sold Les Treilles at 30, 40 euros, and this wine is at this price. It's a steal. It's a steal. Yeah, I mean, this is a real Grand Cru, and it has everything: complexity, length, minerality, and this personality. And that's, for me, that's a very important matter as well in being a Grand Cru. So you can't, it's, okay, Anjou Noir in the center. It's selling. So now I know who Icarus and so on is. It's Franck. Yeah. But you once taste Les Treilles, and you never forget them, because it's a wine like you don't find a second one. It's just this wine which is like this. And even I'm lucky enough to have maybe tasted every single vintage. And if I see Joe, I'm as well lucky enough that he opens an old bottle. And you still have the signature, and this is really unique. And I mean, in euro range and price-wise, it's the Grand Cru. It's the most expensive dry wine you're selling.
No, absolutely.
And I think it's well deserved.
Yeah, no, I think it's a terroir that deserves to be known. A lot of people taste it and they're like, oh my God, I've never tasted anything like this.
Yes.
It doesn't, blind tasting would be impossible to guess it's Chenin. You wouldn't really know where to put it, but you would know instantly that it's a great wine. It's an exceptional wine, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure so. Yes, Yvon, we could go on for ages.
Except the bottle is empty.
Yes, I predicted that, but no, that's. There's so much more to discover, so much more to talk about. But I think for the beginning, that should be enough. And I'm sure we'll see you in Stuttgart. More or less too.
Would love to. There's nothing I would want more than to travel a little bit.
I imagine.
Stuttgart, places would be good.
Yes, and so next Perspektive wine, but I hope we'll meet before. at our new wine bar, High Fidelity.
Yeah, super cool. I can't wait.
I'm sure this will be super cool. I can't wait to open this. And yeah, you find some very nice Belargus wines there, of course.
Even better.
I know. Yes. So, Yvon, that was a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, really.
Roxana and everybody with the questions. If you guys want to ever are in the Loire or nearby the Loire, give us a call. Instant message on Instagram. We'd love to welcome you. It's truly a remarkable region. It's not known at all. It's everything to be discovered, and it's preserved, and we preserve it for you, I would say. So,
and you have everything. I mean, you have brilliant restaurants, you have everything. And Thomas wants to know, do you have apartments for rent?
Well, as a matter of fact, we are renovating a small house at the bottom of Clos des Richer.
Oh, really? It is?
Yes, it's been renovated at the moment, and there will be 3 rooms for our friends.
Okay, yes, and that's right at Savinière. In Savinière, they have next the brilliant restaurant Le Chenin.
Le Chenin, absolutely.
So you can walk there. So that's that's a good plan.
It's been renovated, so next year should be okay.
Yeah, it's a fantastic plan. Thank you very much, Yvon. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Tschüss.
Bye.
Ja, Yvon, also ihr seht, da stimmt natürlich auch die Chemie, und es ist wirklich so, wie ich gesagt habe, das ist wirklich mit die schönste Übernahme, die ich je miterlebt habe. Und es hat ja nun auch ein paar nicht so schöne Dinge gegeben, auch Familiennachfolgen und so. Da möchte ich jetzt nicht so drüber sprechen, aber da waren auch an der Loire mindestens ein ganz berühmter Name dabei. Und da ist sowas wirklich eine schöne Geschichte. Und das ist ein Name, den man sich merken muss und dem man in der Weinwelt auch noch oft begegnen wird. Ja, liebe Leute, ich hoffe, es hat euch Spaß gemacht. Ich glaube, wir haben unglaublich lange gesprochen jetzt. Ja, es geht 7 nach 9. Wie kommt der Preis zustande von den Cas de Chaume Grand Cru Doro? Ja, das ist ganz klar. Also erstens mal wird da natürlich mit ganz, ganz extrem geringen Erträgen gearbeitet. Das ist bei allen Weinen so von Belargus, aber in diesen Lagen ist das wirklich echt extrem. Das sind, also da musst du wirklich schon die Trauben suchen im Weinberg. Und das ist natürlich auch eine Lage, die eben nicht umsonst ein Grand Cru ist. Das heißt, es sind einfach außergewöhnlich hervorragende Weine. Und wir sprechen hier von einem Niveau, also im Burgund zahlst du da das 4- und 5-fache. Ja? Also es ist einfach nicht so teuer wie im Burgund, weil es von der Loire ist, aber es ist eigentlich in derselben Qualität wie die allerbesten Burgunder, und nachher Coteau des Treilles, das wird nachher ein 100er kosten, ungefähr die Flasche, und ich kann euch sagen, es ist echt gerechtfertigt. Ja? Also natürlich die Frage, ob man generell bereit ist, einen 100er für eine Flasche Wein auszugeben, kann ich verstehen, wenn einer sagt nein, aber wenn ich jetzt mal einen Strich unter die Rechnung ziehe und andere Weine sehe, die so viel kosten, da ist es immer noch günstig. Ne? Wenn man davon günstig sprechen kann. Ganz klar, das ist natürlich schon, da bewegen wir uns natürlich schon im elitären Bereich. Aber letztendlich, wenn ich dann das mal überlege, der Anjou Noir für 20 €, sowas kostet irgendwie ich will es nicht klassifizieren, aber der Rosé von der Brangelina oder so, kostet auch so viel, und da muss ich echt nicht zweimal überlegen, was ich trinken will. Ja? Also, liebe Freunde, am nächsten Dienstag wieder mit Kilian, und wie immer weiß ich nicht, was wir probieren. Also irgendwie Ja, ich weiß es nie. Also am Dienstag weiß ich es halt oder am Montag oder so. Und vielen Dank. Merci beaucoup, Franck Icarus Salidaciao. Franck ist der Sales Manager bei Vito Paillet und Belargus und den kennen wir schon sehr lange. Ja. Hm? Ja, nächste Woche zu eigenen Weine. Oh Gott. Ja, also Roux Rouge, einmal mit Schwefel, einmal ohne Schwefel. Und da halten wir ja wieder unseren Fuß in der Loire mit Cabernet Franc. Also, vielen Dank, Thomas. Ja, Roxana hat mich gerade drauf gebracht. Und da haben wir die Aldinger Brüder mit dabei. Freue ich mich auch sehr drauf. Und ganz ehrlich gesagt, 18 und 19 Roux Rouge habe ich selber noch nie gemeinsam probiert. Das wird also auch für mich eine Premiere und ich glaube für Kilian auch. Ciao, schönen Dienstagabend euch noch. Bis dann. Tschüss und vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen, mitmachen, mitfragen, mitprobieren. Das war der Finger von der Roxana. Die muss ich jetzt einfach von der anderen Seite bringen, um dieses Ding hier zu beenden. Tschüss.